It was just another ordinary morning in the quiet corner of a busy city café. The aroma of fresh coffee floated through the air, mingling with the low hum of conversations and clinking cups. Amelia, a young waitress with tired eyes but the warmest smile, adjusted her apron and carried a tray of pancakes to a corner table. She had worked here for 3 years, juggling shifts while taking care of her younger sister at home. Life hadn't been kind, but Amelia's spirit was one thing poverty couldn't crush. At that very moment, the bell above the cafe door chimed. In walked a man whose presence immediately drew attention. His sharp suit, polished shoes, and the quiet authority in his stride made people turn their heads. This was Alexander Hartley, a billionaire businessman known for his empire of luxury hotels and high-rise projects. To the world, he was powerful, untouchable, and intimidating. But today, Alexander wasn't here as a CEO. He was here as a father. Beside him sat a boy of about 9, small for his age, with gentle brown eyes and a wheelchair that silently told a story of pain. His name was Ethan. Born with cerebral palsy, he had spent his life struggling with the simplest of movements. Despite the wealth Alexander possessed, money had not bought his son health. No world-class doctor, no advanced treatment had fully eased Ethan's daily battles. And what Alexander carried with him, though he never admitted it, was guilt. Guilt that his empire kept him busy, guilt that his late wife's dying wish for Ethan to be loved and protected sometimes felt like more than he could manage. Amelia noticed immediately how carefully Ethan studied the menu, how his tiny fingers trembled as he tried to lift a fork, how his eyes flickered to his father, unsure of asking for help. Alexander, his phone buzzing relentlessly with emails, barely noticed. Amelia's heart tightened. She knew that look. She'd seen it in her own sister's eyes when struggling to cope alone. Without hesitation, Amelia crouched down beside Ethan, her voice soft but steady. "Hi there. Would you like me to help cut your pancakes? We can share the syrup." Ethan's face lit up with gratitude. She patiently fed him small bites, joking and chatting as though it were the most natural thing in the world. Ethan giggled, a sound so pure it made Alexander lower his phone for the first time in a long time. He watched, transfixed. This waitress, a stranger, was showing his son a tenderness he hadn't seen outside their home in years. For reasons he couldn't explain, Alexander felt something crack open inside him. For so long he had been consumed by deals, contracts, and meetings that he had almost forgotten what simple kindness looked like. Watching Amelia with Ethan was like seeing sunlight after months of rain. When breakfast was over, Alexander approached Amelia. "You were very kind to my son," he said, his tone hesitant and used to vulnerability. "Most people don't notice him." "Thank you." Amelia just smiled. "He's a kid who wants pancakes, just like anyone else. That's all that matters." Alexander left a generous tip and they walked out, but something about Amelia's words lingered in his mind. That night, as he sat by Ethan's bedside, listening to his boy whisper, "Daddy, I liked her," Alexander realized money had never been the answer. Connection, empathy, and love, that was what Ethan craved. Days turned into weeks, but fate wasn't done weaving their stories together. Amelia was shocked when one afternoon, Alexander himself returned to the cafe. He asked if she could spare a few minutes to join them. Ethan grinned from his wheelchair, waving her over. Slowly, these visits became routine. Breakfast together, laughter over spilled syrup, stories exchanged between strangers who felt more like family with each passing day. But life, as always, presented challenges. Amelia's younger sister, Lily, fell ill, and medical bills mounted. Amelia picked up double shifts, her smile strained, her eyes tired. Alexander noticed. When he gently asked, she brushed it off, too proud to accept pity. "I'm fine," she said, but her trembling hands told another story. Then came the breaking point. One evening, after rushing straight from work to the hospital, Amelia collapsed in the hallway, overwhelmed by exhaustion and despair. Alexander, who had followed to check on her after learning from Ethan that Miss Amelia looked sad, found her sitting against the wall, tears streaming down her face. "Why didn't you tell me?" he asked softly. "Because people like you don't understand," she whispered bitterly. "You have everything. I have to fight for every little thing." And I can't lose my sister, I'm all she has. Her words pierced Alexander's chest. For the first time, he saw how blind he'd been, how he had lived surrounded by wealth but knew nothing of struggle that money couldn't easily fix. In Amelia's fight for her sister, he saw the same fierce love he carried for Ethan. It humbled him. That night, Alexander made a decision. Not out of charity, but out of respect for Amelia's courage. He quietly arranged for Lily's medical care, ensuring the hospital bills vanished. When Amelia discovered, she confronted him angrily at first, pride clashing with gratitude. But Alexander explained, "This isn't pity. This is partnership. You taught me something I forgot, that love matters more than money. Let me stand with you, the way you've stood with Ethan." From that moment, their bond deepened. Amelia became not just a friend to Ethan, but a guiding light in both their lives. Slowly, Alexander found himself drawn to her warmth, her resilience, her ability to heal wounds invisible to the world. And Amelia, though hesitant, realized that behind the billionaire's exterior was a father desperate to do right by his son. The journey wasn't without obstacles. Gossip sparked when the media caught sight of the billionaire dining with a waitress. Critics whispered, friends doubted. Amelia herself battled insecurity, could she ever belong in Alexander's world? But Ethan's innocent voice always reminded her, "Miss Amelia, you make us feel like a family." And in the end, that was all that mattered. Months later, as spring painted the city in blossoms, Alexander hosted a charity gala not in honor of his business, but for children with disabilities, inspired by his son. Standing on stage, he shared his truth, "I thought success was measured in wealth. But my son, and a waitress who treated him with kindness, taught me that the greatest success is love." Amelia stood in the crowd, tears in her eyes, as Alexander and Ethan waved at her. In that moment, she knew her life had changed forever, not because of money, but because compassion had brought them together.